So hello everyone! Thought I'd try something new! You hear a lot about my opinions when it comes to designs about Pokemon, but why not, I don't know, get to know me a little bit better? Starting with one of my favorite anime of all time, if not my favorite. A little bit of background, I have been watching since 4Kids aired in America, so 2005, I think, I don't know. I currently have no internet, so I'm trying to do this, well, without looking up anything, so we'll see how this goes. Probably not the best, but it should be a fun talking point. Somewhere along the video, I'm going to show what saved picture I have, which happens to be a wallpaper, where I'm going to be using this as a way to just count down each Straw Hat character. And to make sure I don't forget anybody, I will have to remember Jinbe, because this is way before Jinbe. But it's a nice little color panel, so we'll see. And then I can put up different pictures with whatever Straw Hat I'm talking about at the time. I did make a little bit of a list to define the order of Straw Hats that I prefer. I ranked them. I think I'm going to abandon that ranking and just give a little bit of thoughts about how I feel about each Straw Hat. So, I don't know who to start with. Oh, I watched too many teching videos. I'm getting all antsy. Ooh. Let's go in reverse order of joining the crew. Let's start with Jinbe. So all in all, I'm pretty neutral with Jinbe. I really enjoyed the kind of father role he played for Luffy back in Amazon Lily and Punk Hazard. He was always just there. Well, he wasn't really there for Punk Hazard, but Amazon Lily and Marineford, just to help guide him along the way, get him out of whatever trouble he's in, whether it was self-inflicted or an outside force acting on Luffy, making him feel overwhelmed. I feel like Jinbe is going to be a strange addition, but it's going to fit fairly well with the Straw Hats. Much like Brook, I don't think that he's going to get that much of a shining look at him, just because we don't have as much time with Jinbe, especially compared to like the early 5 before the Grand Line. We won't see him as much as that, but he will be an integral part for the ends for sure, because I do believe that the ending will have all sorts of cultures coming together and overthrowing the world government. And how poetic would it be for a fishman who has experienced such an ordeal and fought his way from being classified as fish up through to collapsing that establishment of a world government. Despite Jinbe having lived such a historical life so far, he's gonna fit in well with this and have some sort of nice personality bloom from it. He was always this stoic character, but now I feel like he's slowly opening up to the antics of the crew, and I hope he develops that comical side. So next up would be Brook. I love Brook! Brook is great. I think he ranked top 5. He was high up there in my list. He was not number 1, he was high up there. I love the antics Brook gets involved with. Yes, he's a bit pervy, but honestly it just reminds me of like a grandpa who just is stuck in his heyday. And a grandfather who loves to go out and pal around with the kids and sometimes steal plot relevant items from big powerful people. Because, yeah, yo-ho-ho-ho! Why not? He can't die. Well, he can't die. As for powers, I guess I should go back. Fishman Karate, I feel like there's a lot of different variants, and especially with a master of Fishman Karate like Jinbe is. I wonder what kind of team techniques could come out of that, or how he would be able to upgrade his arsenal, because I feel like Jinbe either is hiding some sort of special technique, which is probably the case that we haven't seen before, or he's gonna get an upgrade in Wano for the upcoming major arc. Ooh. Brook, again, I feel like needs some sort of upgrade, but I do feel his Soul King and like soul leaving his body is fantastic for surveillance as it is. He can gather all sorts of intel without being that noticed. His whole devil fruit in life was absolutely tragic. That is easily the saddest moment. It's kind of a joke with my friends that I could just go, yo, yo, and people just go like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Well, those who understand. Soul King Brook, absolutely love it. It was a nice redesign, but I do miss old gentleman style Brook. And the milk gags, they never get old for me. I absolutely love Brook in pretty much every capacity, even if he is a bit pervy. Frankie, again, I loved from the start, just because he was so strange. I remember vividly, there was a summer where I caught up. I had stopped where Funimation had cut off the dub somewhere along Skypiea. But before starting that, I had seen images of this weird man wearing a thong and huge bicep arms joining the crew. He looked so different from all the rest of the humanoid characters that I did not like him at first. His design seemed so off from even the most recent crewmate at the time, Robin. I hate his New World design. I want the old one back. At least the hairstyle. I want the hairstyle back. I could live with everything else, but I want that hairstyle back. It was so cool to have that, like, half pompadour. But for Frankie as a whole, his mechanical knowledge and his self-building cyborg body, it raises so many questions. Is he an equivalent surgeon to Chopper at this point? Because maybe it'd be so cool. His robotics have such a childlike nature to them. At what age did Frankie install coup de pute? That's what I want to know. Because what is he, around, I think it was 28 before time skip? Couldn't have been that old, right? He just wanted a fart power at like 27? That seems a bit off. Just a tiny bit off. He seems like the weird uncle of the crew, and you know, weird uncle, like, kid, don't listen to your parents, here's your candy bar. You don't need to eat broccoli and spinach all night, just here, have some cake, kind of deal. Like, he's willing to facilitate some of the fun in the crew, and absolutely love it. On to Robin. I absolutely adore how she was brought up in the world. From a story perspective, the civilization that was seeking knowledge in a world where a government's trying to suppress all forms of that knowledge. I have beliefs where everyone should be able to do and learn what they want to learn, especially history. I'm a huge proponent of learning history and that none of it should be forgotten. So I bond with Robin on that emotional beat. Her powers are extremely interesting. I did not think that they would go very far in the story, but Oda did a great job with making them so creative. When I saw Fishman Island, oh yeah, I guess a bunch of hands can make a foot? Bunch of feet can make a foot? She doesn't often use her ability to make anything other than hands, but she can. Occasionally you can see like an eye. I remember vividly in Skypiea looking for Luffy and catching him, using that eye. Oh no, Usopp. Catching Usopp after looking for him. Spawning a clone? Which I guess can happen. It's a little strange. But mostly just hands. And there's just been a lot of different uses for those hands. Like wings, a conveyor belt system occasionally. You know, if you just need to move a Luffy from one end of a building to another end of a building. Conveyor belt of hands. It's a strange power, but, well, and a strange name for a fruit. The flower fruit? Why hands? I don't think these are flowers. But anyway, she seems a bit like a caring mother of the group. She's the one who's gonna make sure everyone listens, if they need to, or just goes along with it, let them explore their little differences, but always keeping a watchful eye over them. And I absolutely love when she has some very dark humor moments. It's so good. It's so good. And then just moments of pure shooting down the rest of the crew. Like that scene in Thriller Bark. That would embarrass me as a human being if I joined you. It's like, oh, I love it so much. And I absolutely love dark humor, so Robin being a little bit violent, a little bit morbid, so good. Chopper I don't connect with as much. I mean, mostly because he's not even really portrayed as a human a lot of the time. And his whole quirk about, oh, you idiot, why are you complimenting me? That's the one reoccurring joke that really grates on me sometimes. But I can't remember the last time he's done that in the New World. It was a lot in Paradise, but not so much now. Chopper as a whole, I love that his conviction is to cure every disease, but he puts all effort in when it comes to saving different people. He got invested in Wano due to the starvation and malnourishment of the population in Punk Hazard, in like every movie that involves him. There's always something that helps Chopper thrive as a character, but it always feels like it isn't a lesson learned. It's a hurdle to overcome physically or mentally, not emotionally, which with One Piece, its emotional highs are so good. It kind of hurts when Chopper doesn't have that kind of hit. The only time I could think of... There are 2 emotional points that I think Chopper has emotionally while he's with the crew that help bolster his character. With Brook, I think, the doctor from Thriller Bark, and Caesar Clown from Punk Hazard. Caesar just seemed like a rehash of Brook, though, a scientist that Chopper had looked up to that is doing nefarious things. However, with 2 instances of some nefarious scientists that Chopper looked up to, it kind of sets up Vegapunk as another disappointment for Chopper. Like he's just going to turn out to be some sort of evil villain in one way or another. Maybe he went through a Kuma-esque transformation where he lost his soul and just became a thoughtless or an emotionless robot advancing technology. Or maybe he actually is evil. I don't really know. But having 2 of his mentors like that be so terrible. I guess Queen is a third instance of that, but I don't think Chopper knows Queen. Either way, it has me worried for the rest of the story, just because rule of threes and all that. But it would be nice to see Chopper pushed a little bit emotionally or to test his commitment to the crew more, because I can't think of many instances where that happened. But Chopper is adorable, has a wonderful relationship with Robin that I absolutely adore. His transformations are amazing, even if I don't completely understand them. How can he just replace 2 points? I guess. It's not really an RPG, I don't think, where you can just trade out slots, but who knows. And then one last thing about Chopper. I wonder if he's going to get any sort of enhancement, battle enhancement in Wano or any following arc. Because his monster point hasn't really improved since Ennie's lobby. He's just gotten control of it. So I wonder if there will ever be some sort of extension to that. But like all the Straw Hats, I don't hate them. I love them all. I just have varying degrees of love. So before Chopper, I guess it was in contention. I'm gonna say Nami, because this is when Nami officially joined the crew. I absolutely love her role in Arlong Park. I like her role in... I do love her role in Thriller Bark. Even if she didn't play that much of one, she did end up making that connection with Lola, which helped out. Which, again, she did have some good time early Whole Cake Island. But there isn't a whole lot where Nami shines anymore. I agree with a lot of different reviewers, recappers. She doesn't get a lot of screen time these days, aside from like a quick one-off fight or being scared. It's more of that emotional growth that I want to see these characters go through. I feel like with Jinbe and Brook, the emotional... they're so new in relation to the story. Yes, Brook has been with the crew over 10 years, I know that. But they've joined the the crew so new, so recently that their emotional growth hasn't really needed to change. That initial boost in is huge. Frankie being Ennie's lobby in Water 7 is a huge moment, and then you get Senior Pink, so I feel like he's set. Robin has been a constant, and again, Water 7 Ennie's lobby is such a high point after she joined. Chopper Nami, I feel, needs some sort of real test, another reason for them to stick with the crew as long as they have. Maybe I just didn't connect on emotional points that Oda was setting up as hard as other people have. Like, with Nami and Luffy in Whole Cake Island, that could have been her sticking point. A reason why she needs to stick around is to help Luffy and hold him back. A lot of the crew do, but still. And her affirming her commitment to the crew in Wano, I can't wait to see animated, but in the manga, I'm happy to see it. Nami's backstory easily hooked me and is always the point that I recommend people to watch One Piece 2. If they can make it to the end of Arlong Park and are not hooked, drop it. You can drop it knowing that you would not enjoy the story. However, I strongly recommend anybody to watch up through Arlong Park if they're going to watch, but if they need something to hook them, I generally recommend Strong World, just because it's my favorite movie and I love the antics. It's a great mix of antics with important character and serious moments with important character. Filmsy a little too, it takes itself a little too seriously. Stampede, I don't like the villain's motivations, and he's just kind of dull. But there's a reason why One Piece movies really strengthened around Strong World. It was such a good movie. Next, Sanji. I'm sorry, editing me. That is a mistake. I'm sorry. But you knew it was coming. I know me. It's Sanji. I love Sanji. I have been a Sanji stan since probably Alabasta with the whole Mr. Prince saga. Okay, so in Baratier, I thought he was kind of whiny. Arlong Park, he really helped out with the crew, but alongside Zoro, that's when he started to win me over. Lockdown, that was so quick. But starting with Mr. Prince on Dorian Broggy's island, I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, on that island, he fought with Zoro. He saves the day with he intercepts Crocodile's order, pretending to be Mr. 3, being Mr. Prince. A huge payoff, or a huge surprise, a hint laid down in One Piece history for years, possibly decades. I'd have to refresh the timeline. But the payoff was so good with Whole Cake Island. I absolutely love his relationship with Pudding. Sanji, even if the beginning of the Wano raid was a big disappointment, it's starting to turn around, and I'm liking that there's intrigue with what's happening with him again. And I strongly love him as part of the crew. He is a great cook and a great ally. Even if he left the Straw Hats, always a Straw Hat, man. Always a Straw Hat. And Diablo Jambe was so cool as a kid. So cool to see. Then we got Usopp. Was never one of my favorites. He was very forgettable up until Water 7. That was an immense moment that I didn't see coming as an 8-year-old. But his emotional attachment to Mary and finding himself between the emotional attachment he had to his family and the impact that Luffy has had on his life, he had to consolidate that. And Water 7 just led to a boiling point where he found out that Luffy is truly worth it and will help him as much as he helps Luffy. His battle style has always been intriguing. I love anytime he fights against some sort of gun wielder, I always think back to the Daddy Masterson duel, where it's just a man with a pistol versus a kid with a slingshot. It's always so funny. And his whole antics with Sugar and Dressrosa, fantastic. He seems to be a little bit he's not in the limelight in these recent arcs, which I expect him to be an Elbaf, but his powers have definitely improved, and I love that he went to that weird plant island with Heracleson during the time skip, and having that both physical and mental change of Usopp becoming more of a brave man of the sea during that very frightening island experience. That was a good point for him. Zoro. I generally go against the grain on a lot of things. Like, I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, it's overhyped. I'm not a big fan of superheroes, they're overhyped. Zoro, overhyped. But he's still so cool! So, of course, Das Bones is when I really started digging Zoro. For a lot of East Blue, I didn't think that much of him. Mihawk gave me promise, but the Das Bones fight where he started going, I can hear the sword. Doesn't cut the leaf. That is when I started knowing that, oh, One Piece is gonna have some new mechanics. Zoro might be learning something serious here. I am so intrigued with what kind of story his eye is going to tell, because clearly that was either lost or damaged somehow, and that will lead to some plot relevance for sure. And then Zoro always gets the good fights, which generally lead to some good emotional investment. And again, he's had some great emotional moments with Mihawk, with Kuma, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I especially can't wait for him to fight Fujitora, because I feel like that's gonna have to happen. Swordsman versus swordsman, even if Fujitora is just like, I can't let this happen, I'm sorry, Zoro. Cries tears out of his blind eyes. That would be an amazing fight. Zoro's backstory has always been just kind of weird. I'm wondering if we're going to get any more of it, but I don't think that Oda would do as much backstory development as he did Sanji. Just because, yeah, they're supposed to be equal, but they can't be the same. I feel like, if anything, Zoro's commitment itself has been his driving force versus his past mistakes or past damage. Speaking of past damage and commitment, Luffy, the Pirate King himself. Let's not kid ourselves. He will be! I'm being a little bit more hyperactive than usual, mostly because I know what I have some history to go off of. I'm not just reacting to things. Luffy, the man of the hour. I can't think of many things that I don't like that happened to Luffy. Oh, okay, Whiskey Peak. Whiskey Peak with Zoro was a weird one. I am kind of with everybody that he didn't need to fight Zoro. He already had so much trust in Zoro at that point that there was no reason to fight him. You could have just asked some questions. But generally, Luffy is intelligent enough to read a room and keep everybody happy. I don't have any qualms with him kind of bad-mouthing Usopp during Water 7. He took it a little personally, but Luffy was 17 at the time, and I definitely don't knock him for that. And I feel like he handled the Sanji situation fantastically. The emotional ups and downs of Luffy cannot be understated. You have 3 whole arcs where he's by himself trying to deal with that, which are incredible by themselves, alongside trying to save a family member. So, yeah, Luffy is not missing any emotional hits during this whole series, and I hope that Oda can really pull off this years-long wait for Luffy to reach his goal. Because in Naruto, yeah, there was a bit of a hit, but it wasn't nearly as much as some of the earlier stuff. Luffy has been on this adventure about as long as I have been alive, and that is a large commitment to keep up, since his goal has stayed the same consistently in those years. As it stands, I think Luffy has developed quite a lot since his earlier age. He hasn't lost his love of life, but he has learned to calm himself down in times of need. Not all the time, and Law makes us very certain of when it's happening. I never thought that Luffy's rubber powers would take him this far. As a kid, I thought, oh, they made the stretchy arm action figure an anime. Or a cartoon, because I didn't know anime. They made it a cartoon! Oh my god! That's cool. It's gonna get real boring, though. No, Luffy's whole gear system with the different systems of the body, the muscular, the skeletal. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen. With the new hockey that's being taught in Wano, I do expect that a Gear 5 is gonna be released, gonna be shown. Maybe there has to be a progression in Conqueror's hockey too before he gets a Gear 5, because we already kind of got the Perception hockey upgrade with the fight with Katakuri. So whatever would be next would be Conquerors, and if that happens in Elbaf, that'd be really cool before a final confrontation. But who knows what the story is going to entail, and let's hope that there's more Straw Hats. I watch a lot of videos. I already mentioned one person's name. Let's go Carrot! Hashtag not a furry. But, I mean, honestly, there are a lot of different candidates to join the crew, and I'm hoping we get at least one more. Because 10's nice, but I feel like a strong 11 crew members would be amazing. Here's hoping. If you haven't watched One Piece and got this far, thank you. But thank you guys for watching. I just thought I'd do something fun. Generally, I just talk about Pokemon and the Pokemon-like game that I'm making, so I'll try and make a few more of these just because they're kind of fun. I can already tell. And to mix things up, you wouldn't believe how boring it is to record 5 of the same video in like 2 days. And then each of the recordings are like 2 hours long. It gets really boring. This is more fun. Let's go with this. Thank you all. Have a good night.